Welcome to Love and Abuse, the show about navigating the difficult relationship. From simple disagreements to emotionally abusive behaviors, you deserve respect and kindness. All the information on this show is meant for educational purposes only. Always seek a professional for your mental health and well-being, and always pick your battles wisely. I'm your host, Paul Coliani. Welcome to another episode of Love and Abuse. If this is your first time, I'm so glad you are here. And at the same time, I'm sorry that you have to listen to this show. I mean, it is a show about difficult relationships and difficulties in relationships. And I talk a lot about emotionally abusive behavior. That's the very common theme in love and abuse. And when you have to listen to a show like this, obviously something's going on in a relationship that you care about. At least that's what most people listen to this show listen to it for, because they care about the relationship that they're in, and they just wish the other person cared enough to want to work through the issues as well. And so this is what I try to help you do, to help you work through the issues, try to understand them, try to figure out how to communicate better or get somebody else to hear you, to understand you. That can be very difficult in some relationships. Today I'm going to address a question that I received. It's a really quick one. The person asked me, how do you know if your heart is sealed? I'm aware that I have built a huge wall as a means of self-preservation. That's the entire question, and it packs a punch because it contains a lot, or at least it asks a bigger question of, am I going to allow this person back into my heart? I talk about how the heart can seal after you've reached what's called threshold. When someone reaches their threshold, they're done. They will not accept any more bad behavior or toxicity from the other person. They're done. That's what I call the threshold. The threshold is very similar to saying, I've had enough. Either you stop doing what you're doing, or I'm out of here. That's probably the least technical way to explain the threshold and understand what it means. That's what it means to me. If I've had enough, that's enough. I will not accept anymore, no matter what. And that also means I don't care necessarily what happens to me. I just want you to stop. And let me explain that a little bit. Some people are in situations where they feel like if they say, hey, you better stop or else, that they can't do the or else. They can't do the accountability part. That's what usually keeps people in any type of toxic or abusive relationship, is that they don't feel like they have the option to do the accountability part, to say that the other person is going to be accountable for their behavior. So they stay in the relationship because they don't want to bring up, hey, you better stop or else. But bringing that up is often what causes the change. So if you've been in a bad situation for a long time and you never bring something like that up, then often it doesn't change because the other person doesn't feel like it's bad enough. Otherwise, you would have said that, or you would have left. And so you get into these situations where you feel very stuck, and then nothing changes, and day after day you go through the same stuff, and you hope it changes. You hope they finally figure out that they're doing something that they need to work on, change, heal, whatever. And when they don't, it's often because they don't think it's bad or bad enough to stop. How do you tell somebody that it's bad or bad enough? Well, yes, you can say, hey, look, please stop. That feels hurtful. It feels like you're disrespecting me, or it feels disrespectful, and it feels like you don't value me. Do you value me? It's a good question. Do you value me? Do you want to see me happy? Those are good questions. If you don't have the answers to, it's important to get them. Hopefully they say, of course I want to see you happy, and I'll do anything it takes because I love you, and loving somebody is wanting to see them happy. So that's what I want to do for you. And if they don't do that, or if they say, well, it's not about your happiness, you're the problem, you're the one causing all these problems. If they just point the finger back at you, then the only option you have left might be to say, look, you better stop or else. You don't use those words, or else sounds like a threat, which it could be to them. They may see anything you say as a threat, but what you want to say is, I will not tolerate this anymore. And you have to mean it. I will not tolerate this anymore. This has gone too far. I've been very resilient. I've been very tolerant. Now it's time to stop. It's time to stop doing this. And if you don't stop, there will be consequences. But you use words instead of the words consequences. You say, I'm leaving. I'm moving out. I know, this is the risky stuff. This is the hard conversation. This is the kind of conversation that changes your life. I know. And not everyone is ready to have that conversation. I get it. But sometimes you've had enough. And this takes us back to this question. How do you know if your heart is sealed? You know it because you will not tolerate it anymore. You will stop allowing bad behavior, toxicity. You will stop allowing that person to make you feel bad, to make you feel guilty, to make you feel responsible. You will stop allowing the behavior into your system, into your soul, into your spirit, into your heart. You'll stop it. This person said, I'm aware that I have built a huge wall as a means of self-preservation. That wall can become impenetrable when it's sealed. When you have sealed your heart, that wall is impenetrable. That means when they say, I'm so sorry, just give me one more chance, just one more chance, I promise I'll change. When they say that, you say, sorry, I can't let you back in. That's enough. I've had enough. It's over. Please let me back in. Let's work this stuff out. I'll go to therapy this time. I promise I'll go to therapy. I'll work things out. I'll heal. I'll do anything it takes. I'm sorry. I can't let you back in. Please just give me one more chance. I can't do it. My heart is sealed. That is a fully sealed heart. And it almost always means, actually it always means that the love that they had for the other person has changed. So if it's a romantic relationship, the in-love feeling where you feel safe and trusting and vulnerable and you feel okay being that way in front of somebody else and you love the way they love you, that in-love feeling goes away. It is disintegrated beyond repair. That is sealing your heart, when the in-love feeling is disintegrated beyond repair. In a family relationship or a friend, I mean, most of the things I talk about are about romantic relationships, but this applies to anyone in our life. There's a point where we've had enough and we will not accept any more. And what does it mean to have our heart open? It means we feel trusting, we feel safe, we feel okay being vulnerable around the other person. We are willing to give the benefit of the doubt. We are willing to give second, third, and 100th chances. We are willing to let things slide. That's when our heart is open, or at least slightly open, cracked open. But when it's sealed, none of that applies. You've had enough. It's over. This doesn't mean that there can't be a friendship beyond that. This doesn't mean there can't be a newfound connection later. Meaning, let's just say it was a romantic relationship and you've done healing and they've done healing and they've changed and you can see the changes if you've kept in touch with them. And they're not trying to beg for you back. They're actually doing the work on themselves. They're focused on themselves. They're realizing that they have been hurtful to you. They have been toxic for you. And so they've decided, I really need to change. I really need to heal this stuff inside of me because I'm just so hurtful to people and I got to stop. I got to stop being that way. So I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to work on myself. Whether I have another relationship or not, whether we get back together or not, this is what I need to focus on. And if you see that and you see changes and it's been a while, I like to look at 6 months to a year. If they seem like a different person in 6 months to a year, then maybe they really are changing. That's usually my timeline. If you see somebody who appears to be completely different than who they were, because that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for the same person. You're looking for somebody who doesn't appear to be the same person. They have done a transformation. And you're wondering, where did that other person go? That's real change. Typically, that's real change. And when you see that, and if you want to give it another chance after your heart has healed, then what happens is you create a brand new relationship. Because sealing your heart is saying no to the old relationship. It's saying no to that person, who they were. To unseal it, to open it back up again, it can't be the same thing. It can't be the same person. It can't have the same events, the same behaviors, the same toxicity. Can't have any of that. It has to be brand new, because going forward has to be completely different than what it was in the past. And what that means is they can't show up the same way they used to. And you can't feel the same way you used to. You know, all the bad stuff. Because some of the good stuff was good. Typically, that's what I hear. Some of the good stuff was really good. In fact, it was so good, that's all I want. That's all I want is that good stuff. And some of the bad stuff was so bad, it poisoned the relationship. But I wanted that good stuff, so I stayed. And that's how a trauma bond is formed. You feel like you need to stay to get the good stuff, and you tolerate the bad stuff to get to that good stuff. Those good feelings, those feelings that make you feel happy inside, make you feel loved and warm and supported, worthy. When you feel that way, that's such a good feeling that you want it more and more. You want it again and again. Or at least you want a reminder that it's still there. You want to know that the person you're with feels that way about you. They feel like you're the most important thing on the earth. They want you to feel happy. They want to see your smile. And when that happens in the relationship, you feel so good. And then when the poison trickles in, you feel so bad, and you just want that good feeling again. I've talked about trauma bonds before, but that's basically how the trauma bond forms, is that you stick around through the bad stuff to get to the good stuff. And it poisons your spirit. It makes you think that you need to go through the bad stuff to get to the good stuff. It makes you think you can't get love without suffering. And that's just not true. You can get love without suffering. I mean, there's always suffering in love, but not the kind of suffering. I mean, you shouldn't be exposed to the kind of suffering I talk about on this show. And if you are, you need a way to work through it, walk through it, communicate your needs, communicate what you want to happen, and then get to the point where you will no longer tolerate it. If they don't stop what they're doing, you have to get to that point where you will no longer tolerate it, because clearly your suffering doesn't matter enough for them to stop. Your crying, your tears, your unhappiness, your silence, if it's not enough for them to change, then that's when you get to the point, that's when you get to the threshold that you will no longer tolerate it anymore. And that's something that builds up inside of you. You go through the paces, you go through the challenges, and you get to the point where you know that you are done. Because if you don't stop it now, there'll be nothing left of you. And just like this person said, I have built a huge wall as a means of self-preservation. That's what self-preservation is realizing there's going to be nothing left of me unless I build this wall. And when it gets to the point where you feel like there won't be anything left of me if I let this continue, that's when you might seal your heart shut permanently for this person, not to everyone. When we seal our hearts, it's usually not sealing it to the rest of the world. It's usually sealing it from a particular person that does specific behaviors so we can protect ourselves, so that we don't lose ourselves. We don't want to disappear. And because we want to be here, we're going to get out of that situation any way possible. And that's when our body, our mind, our entire system says, no more. That's enough. I won't take it anymore. And I will give you no more chances. And so I hope this helps you. If you needed to hear this today, I hope it helps the person who wrote to me. Thank you for sharing that. And share this with others that might benefit. Love and Abuse is the official podcast of the Mean Workbook, an assessment and healing guide for difficult relationships. The workbook gives you your mean score, which tells you the exact behaviors causing you to leave so many interactions feeling bad. Now you can pinpoint specific unhealthy and even toxic behaviors in your relationship to help you take the next best steps for you and those you care about. Visit loveandabuse.com for more information. If you've discovered that you are doing the hurtful behaviors to someone you care about and you'd like to change that about yourself, sign up for the Healed Being program over at healedbeing.com. The course comes with a private online group where I and others will give you direct support. You'd be amazed how good you feel when you're able to stop making those you love feel bad. That's healedbeing.com. And if you're looking for a safer way to listen to this show where all the titles to the episodes are changed, click on the Safe Listening button on the podcast page over at loveandabuse.com. This show exists to remind you that you are not alone and you're not going crazy. You deserve to be treated with respect and kindness. You deserve honesty and sincerity. You deserve to be treated as worthy and significant, because you are. We'll talk again soon.